Hi there, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie and today is part 2 of my scraps to base pages or use your scraps video for 2024. If you haven't already seen the previous video, I will leave a link to that. Basically how it's going to work is I'm going to show you how I paired up some scraps and then what I made with them. These are what I call base pages, which are the basic start of a scrapbook layout, but often has a lot of room for interpretation. Sometimes I take it a little bit further than others, you know, and embellish and that kind of stuff, but a lot of times they are just really the basic bare bones of a layout. And at some point in the future I will pair them up with photos and embellishments and hopefully speed up the process while using up my scraps. Okay, so I still have quite a few to go through. Let's get started. So this was a scrap from a Close to My Heart class that I took. I paired that with this lovely blooms from Pink Fresh. I like the golden yellow, I guess. It matches perfectly the center of the flowers. Or if you flip it over, the splatters on the other side. I also paired it with a Pink Fresh Simply the Best for the navy. The navy is a little bit darker than the blue in here, but there are some really dark tones in the paper that I think make this work. Really excited about this one, but I love this piece of paper, so that's not surprising. So I did have a tiny piece of scrap left over, and this one is actually a 2-page layout intended. Does it mean that I have to use it as a 2-page layout? Absolutely not. Clearly I can separate them independently from each other, but they are designed as a possibility for a 2-page layout. I love this paper. When I first saw it from Close to My Heart, I absolutely fell in love with it. I think I already mentioned that when I was going through the scraps. So I really did want to keep it as a focal point. Okay, so I have some scraps left over from Delightful. I really like this floral pattern. I think these could be trimmed out to make focal points on a card. I can also do a layering piece or a mat, but the other side would also make a really great mat. This is a larger piece of paper with a grid background. I probably could see, well, I could see me just trimming this off and using this as a background piece. This yellow is really quite pretty as well, as is this. Easy to use. And then I've got this strip with some florals. I don't think I talked about this page yet. I don't know that I would use this part of it, although these would make some fun embellishments. What I really was looking at was this side and using these as focal points, probably to make some cards, maybe. I'm not sure. Some of them lend themselves to cards and some of them are better for scrapbook layouts. Okay, I did have a pretty big scrap on this one. I had originally thought that I would cut these up and use them as embellishments for these layouts. I just didn't feel like it. So what I'm going to do more than likely is put this back in my scrap bin to use at a later date, or the other possibility is I could cut these down into the frames and use them as embellishments, but I probably will just throw them back in the scrap bin. I did go into my mixed media backgrounds because I thought this would be fun to use with these papers, and I found this yellow cardstock. I want to say it was a Maggie Holmes, right? You guys tell me, did I get it right? Is it Maggie Holmes? Yeah, I don't think it's Paige Evans. I think it's Maggie Holmes. But I do like the color with this design. I used the yellow scrap just as a layering piece. This is the big anchoring piece, and then the pattern paper is probably for the focal element, which means I'll probably add a photo, or I could switch it this way and add a photo and then a title, or the other option is to do it this way. And then this piece here could become a journaling spot. I guess in theory it could be a journaling spot this way too. Anyways, that's the first layout. And then this one, I actually pulled this piece of paper from my mixed media. Again, it was from a paper pad, I don't remember which one, but it had these clouds in the background and it had this purple element, purpley and pink element, which I thought really kind of matched this strip. And I also had this leftover piece Now what's on the back side of this one? This is that light blue with purple floral. And I really liked that kind of, this has got a gradient, and yeah, I just really like how this one all pulled together. I'm really liking this one as well. This is Lovely Blooms from Pink Fresh, which I paired with Tourist Mode for the blue. I think that looks really great. And then I had this gingham left over from an LDRS scrapbook class, and while this pink is not exactly this pink in here, I think because there are so many pinks going on that this still would work. This lighter peachy color in this paper pulls out the peaches from here, so I think it'll still work. Small scrap. I did let the floral piece be the predominant part of the page. It's slightly more than 6 inches, but again, very similar design to what you've seen in the past. It's kind of my go-to, I guess. This one, I don't remember where this came from. I think it is Pink Fresh. And this one here is an Echo Park. It was from a baby line. So I like these two together, but it needs something. And I don't know what it needs. Either something dark maybe, or something really light. This is too I want to call it flat. There's not enough contrast or whatever. And it's probably because the blue background is my guess. So we'll see as I play with this. Maybe if I cut it into smaller pieces on a white background, that will do the trick. Okay, so I've got a couple scraps from this one. Now, this was not in the original kit, and what it was this fall paper from Pink Fresh, and on the back side it had a pink background with these yellow leaves, and the pink actually happened, or the peach, happened to be a really good match for the peachy pink leaves in this colored paper. So I thought I would add that on kind of as a photo mat. Now, I'm not necessarily intending this to be the size of the photo. I can see me adding photos, you know, a couple photos this way, or maybe one 4x6 and then room for a title. When I first introduced this kit, I wasn't too sure about the colorway in it, just because it felt a lot of, I don't know the technical terms, but like they feel very same, if that makes sense. They blend into each other almost. There's not enough contrast. So I did add a little black stitched dashed line across the edges just to kind of break it up a little bit, and I'm quite happy with that. These actually are going to be recycled. I don't think I will use these. Lots of Pink Fresh this go round. This is from Good Times. I like the sunflowers. This is also from Good Times, but I picked it for the green. I think those, of course, look really well together. And this is from Tourist Mode from Pink Fresh as well. And I like that with the brown leaves. I have one strip of the sunflower paper, which is too cute. Even the back side's cute, so I definitely can use this to make a card. So that is going in back in the scrap bin. And again, this one, it's just layering up the scraps. I did do a scalloped border for the band. I'm actually quite surprised at how much I like this one. I tend to be a little bit more bright and bold colors, and this one is a little bit more muted. I don't know, you may beg to differ with that, but I do like how this one turned out. Okay, more Pink Fresh Sunshine on My Mind, which is this kind of plaid looking paper, and then the fruit. I'm pretty sure this is from the same collection. I really do like this print, and I think it would be really fun to have it like in the center of a layout. Of course, I don't have a full sheet of paper, but that wouldn't stop me from using this. I would actually just trim this off and add another piece of paper or something behind here to make it look interesting. And that other piece of paper could be this one, which is from Good Times. So technically it's a fall line, which is kind of interesting. But you know, I could do something like that. Just imagine the lines cleaner up. Or we could, you know, split this. I don't know. I don't know that I love this so much, but you know, maybe yeah, you get the idea, right? You get the idea. Many ways you can go. Couple scraps. And I really love how this one turned out. I did have to play with some weird shapes because of the way that the paper had previously been used. So for instance, this one here, I just had trimmed or made this look like I trimmed the corner off. It does have a pre-cut out piece. And then to play off that trimmed corner, I thought I would just wrap this corner around and staple it. And I really like how this one turned out, even though, again, this one doesn't have a lot of contrast, which is something that I do tend to like. So similar to that other layout, I probably would come in and do like some sort of black dashes or something on here. But I've decided to leave this one as is for now, and you know, when I go out and add photos, I may change my mind. So I started off with this Lebanon piece of paper. This is from Concord in 9th from one of their classes. And then I had this tone-on-tone gingham paper. I'm pretty sure this is Echo Park. This yellow is a little bit lighter than the yellow in here, but I think that still will work. And then yes, more Pink Fresh from Good Times. I just liked this color combination. Okay, so now we've got another 2-page spread, or at least something that's intended to be a 2-page spread. These were primary leftovers from, or at least the citrus papers were leftovers from a card class. But I really wanted to make a layout with this. Whenever I think of lemons, I think of sunshine, and it just so happened in my graphic background section, I had this like large sun, which colors just matched perfectly, and I thought, oh, that's great. And then I thought, well, maybe I can turn it into a 2-page layout. Does it have to be a 2-page layout? Again, no, it doesn't, but that was kind of my original intention. This was from that paper pad, this Dots and Stripe paper pad that I'm trying to use up because I really don't have a way to store 8x8 paper effectively. I did trim that down and flipped the leftover scraps to do the stripe banner pieces. And yeah, I think this could either be turned into two 4x6 photos, trimmed down slightly with the mat, or I could do a larger 6x8 or 5x7 photo. And on this side, I anticipate trying not to lose the sun, and so I would think that probably there'll be like some sort of title or something like that, and then maybe a band of smaller photos along the edge. Don't know. Could change my mind and add a circle photo. That might be kind of fun too. We'll see. They're just scraps, so it doesn't matter really at the end. Well, scraps, I guess, and a base paper, but at the end of the day, I had fun creating them, and that matters more to me than anything else. So this is another hodgepodge of bits and pieces. This was left over from a scrapbook kit that I had gotten from Close to My Heart. So I've got some solid paper, some stripes, some cut aparts. I just kept everything together, including the stickers, because there's not much left on here, and just figured, why not try and use it all up? Maybe. But it may need a little help from my stash. This was also intended to be a 2-page layout. And I had this 2x2 piece of cardstock that had been completely chewed up, like I had gaps. But I thought, how fun would it be to use those gaps as photo placements? And so that's what I've done here, is I've allocated some spots for photos. This one down here in the bottom was also intended to be a photo, but didn't have enough of this blue paper to mat all of these, so I used some other scraps to fill them in. And this is so pretty. If it doesn't end up being a photo, I'm not upset about it. I also used some of the other cut aparts, like I rearrange some of them if I didn't like the image underneath. So for instance, I didn't care for the one underneath here, so I added this one on top. And then on this side, I just layered up all the other scraps that I had. These were two 6x6 papers, or yeah, they were connected, and I just layered those, and then I took whatever stickers that I wanted to use that were left over and just did an embellishment cluster down here on the bottom. It's not a lot of room for a title unless I go this way, which I probably wouldn't do, but there's nothing that says I can't add another layering piece up here to kind of anchor a title. We'll see what happens when the time comes. Otherwise, this would make a really good journaling spot, and there's nothing that says, for instance, I can't use this 4x4 photo to do a title. So I think I still got some options. This one was another no-brainer. They're both from Maggie Holmes Carousel. Not sure which direction I will go in, but easy pairing for that one. So I actually pulled in this paper after I had created this kit because I thought this green paper with the stars kind of played off the celebration or celebratory mood and feel of this pattern paper. And this color is between the turquoise and the green, so I thought that went okay. Again, a very similar design that you've seen over and over again. Now, when I was doing that and looking at the extra scraps that I hadn't allocated, I did see this piece of paper, and I think these would make a really great layout. So I'm going to actually use this as another kit. Now, the question is do I use this with it or not? Probably not. I think what's going to happen is this scrap is going to go in the bin. So this is all scraps from Paige Evans Whimsical. Not a lot to work with here, but I think I can do something. I threw in this 6x6 sheet of cardstock. I don't remember who this is from. It could be Lawn Fawn, or it could be Crafter's Companion, maybe. It was probably a leftover from an SCT sampler kit. This one here had some of the hexagons cut out, so I deliberately matted a piece of cardstock underneath to kind of tie that in. There's also a gap over here, so that just helped fill that in. This is a 6x6 paper that came from an SCT class. All of those little banners on that one sheet of paper I cut apart, and I just layered and tucked them in. Some of the ones in the back, you can't really read them, but that's okay. And I'm thinking this will probably be some sort of motivational paper, especially given the bottom section where it talks about positive, sure you're the best, okay, less work, more play. You know, kind of a dream big, my wish for you kind of layout is how I'm anticipating using this. This is another interesting mix of cardstock. This was actually a Simple Stories kit that I didn't care for. I got it in a grab box or whatever. Some of these were designed for cards, some of them were for layouts. I may make cards out of them, but I think I'm going to try and do a layout. Maybe? I don't know if I have enough here. I think I threw in some other cardstock that I thought might pull out the pinks in here. Mostly though, I think it's all from that kit. Well, maybe not this piece. This wood grain. No, this wood grain is not. This looks like a jelly bean soup. Let's talk about this one. I almost didn't do this. So these are the leftover bits. These were from a Simple Stories card kit that I got in a warehouse box. And I think it was intended to be a wedding themed kind of situation, and it just wasn't my thing. So I thought, okay, let's see what we can repurpose with it. So I had all of these papers together with a few extras, which you had seen earlier. These are going to go in the scrap bin for now. If I decide when I make cards, if I still am not interested in using them, they may get purged. But I almost didn't do this. I came across the kit and I just was not feeling inspired until I was looking at this paper, this one back here, which was not part of this Simple Stories. And it's got like a brick with a wood grain. I guess it looks brick to me, but it's probably intended to be more wood grain panels. And I thought, oh, you know what? I wonder if I have any kind of mixed media backgrounds that would work with this. And when I went and looked, I found this 49 Market cardstock. On this side, it's much more brown. This side reads a little more gray, which is more what this color palette is. There's a lot of patterns going on here. I'm not gonna lie. And a lot of these are basically card size pieces of paper. So I started with the big stuff. I had this green, and then that, I'm gonna call it brick, but it's wood grain, and then this floral piece. So it just made sense to layer those in, and then it was, what do I do with everything else? So I cut apart, or cut in half, some of the panels to expand them bigger. This one works really great with a smaller photo. And then I just layered the other pieces in here. And you know what? I really like this. I'm quite surprised at how much I like it. I probably will end up doing some sort of title or something down here and then have the photo. And then the journaling spot could either go down here, or I've got a little bit of room up at the top. So this is an interesting kit because I actually have 2 full 12 by 12 papers in here, which is not normally what I do. I think because I thought this paired well with the scraps that I just threw them together. I suspect that that's what happened. So this is Hip Kit 'Tis the Season, and I've got crepe paper, snow, and cocoa, and I know I have some more crepe paper, snow, and cocoa in here. That's what these 2 scraps are. So I think that's why I added those. I also had this one from Snow and Cocoa, and then I don't know if this is from Snow and Cocoa, but it sure looks like it. Same with that one. And then I had some odds and ends scraps. So I threw in some 6 by 6 paper. This looks like maybe an Amy 10. And I had some of this llama paper. I'm not sure even where that came from. Probably a paper pad. Some snowflakes and a pink, and more of those trees. So there could be some cards in here. Possible layouts, more than one layout, because there's a lot of product in this one. Okay, let's talk Snow and Cocoa. You've seen this design 1,000 times already from me. I really like the whimsical nature of this pattern with the star background. I did paper clip to here this 3x4 card and this piece of black and white cardstock. This was part of that Amy 10. And this is trimmed down to 4x6, and then this is the balance. And I'm just going to store it this way. I didn't want to make a decision as to where the 4x6 photo was going to go, namely because it could either go vertical or horizontal. I left the smaller strip in there because I thought that would be good for matting, like a journaling card or something like that. And then I really like this Oh Dear card. I think it plays off really well with the images in here being, you know, the little critter. So I left that in here as well. If nothing else, I could use the other side, but I think I like the little deer for this page. I probably would not have the words Oh Dear. I'd probably cover it with something else, but you never know when time comes. Now this one, this one was a bit of a struggle. So I have a couple small little scraps. I'm going to recycle that. This will go in the, and actually I'm going to recycle this too. So both scraps I'm going to recycle. This one I did place the photo, and the reason why I did was because I really wanted to try and use up all of the patterns. I made a bunch of I made a couple tags and then layered the snow mountain. I'm thinking this might be a fun outdoor photo opportunity layout. Up here I'm envisioning some journaling possibly, or even a title. That's quite possible. I had a smaller scrap of the tree paper, and what I did was I fussy cut out the tree images that I could from there and layered them on top of this pattern where the trees were not complete. So that's why you see these trees kind of sticking out and above. I just thought that was kind of fun and added to the whimsical nature of the paper. And given that they were trees, it just kind of fit. Now, it's not perfect, right? Like I didn't have a tree for here, but you know, you do what you can with what you got. I made sure to repeat the pattern, so if something was up here, it was down here as well. Kind of helped tie it together. I'm not sure about it. I don't hate it. I like a lot of elements of it, but I'm still not sure. But you know what? It is what it is, and it's just all, it was fun. It was fun to create. So like the last one, I had a 12 by 12 piece of paper in with this kit. These were actually kits that I had pre done previously, that I had previously put together. That's what I'm trying to say. They weren't new. They were at the bottom of the pile, so to speak. This is a Paige Evans paper. I'm thinking I probably kept it in here for the background to use. I have from Turn the Page, the floral, and I think this is from the same collection as that one, which I don't remember offhand what it is. And this is from, I think, the same one as well. I can either use these as cut-aparts or for the yellow. I think I probably would do more this color scheme, maybe some of the yellow and some of the cut-aparts. I don't know. I don't know why I tell you what I think, because it's probably going to change significantly by the time I get these finished. Okay, so I have a little bit of scrap left over. I will throw this in the scrap bin. I probably will trim it down to like a rectangle size just to make my life easier. I did have, this is a branding strip, so I just kind of played with the stripes that were in the background paper, and this is that yellow paper that I just mentioned was going to go back into my stash. Now, this next one is a bit of a different approach for me. I'm not sure about it. So I had this like really weird shape piece of this pink floral left, and I didn't want to waste it because I thought it was so pretty. So I thought, well, why not mat it behind this yellow and then just kind of do like this ragged edge, so almost like it's been torn. This top layer has been torn away to reveal underneath, and I quite like that. I don't mind it being matted on this green geometric, and the only thing I'm not too sure how successful I am is with this pink fresh paper. You tell me, does it work or does it not work? I was playing off the idea of this florals, you know, being connected with this floral here, but it was important that I have this band to kind of separate them, as they are very different. But yet they are both kind of whimsical, so maybe it works. I don't know. I think I like it. I think I like it. It's probably going to be one of those ones that, until I have photos on to be really convinced, I don't know. Leave your comments below, yay or nay. Was I successful or not? Okay, so this next one is two collections that I kind of had bought together to use together, and they're old. It's from Tada Creative Studios from 2009. That's these two pieces. And I think the rest of this is from American Crafts, Campy Trails from 2010. But I think they all go well together, which is probably why I kept all the scraps together. There's easily enough here to do probably 2 double page layouts, if not more. So lots of potential. Okay, I've got a few scraps left over. I will throw those in the little scrap bin. And these are double page layouts. I made 2 of them. And let's start with the less busy one. So that's basically it. Easy peasy, layered border. You've seen it 1,000 times. Nothing innovative. Now this one, you'll notice that I have it paper clipped because I have left a piece of cardstock in here. And that's because I think they would make great embellishments. And I have started with the embellishments, but I didn't finish them all. And I also had some of the extra papers where I cut down mats. So I have 3 4x6 mats and 2 4x5. And could I come in here and, you know, layer these up so that I could have a page? Yes. Well, I don't have a problem with laying down mats for layouts. For this one, I just felt that why do it if I didn't have to? So there are a few different ways that I could, you know, configure this. And so I'm really just thinking, you know, maybe it would be better to hold off until I have the photos and then finish it. Especially as I have this sheet of paper that I'm also going to keep. These are super easy to cut out, and that's what I've done on this page here just to create this band is I just cut out those images and layered them, and I think that could be repeated and on this page as well, but I want to just leave myself options. This is all staying with this layout, and it will be clipped together. So this is an interesting combination of scraps. So this I think is from an Echo Park Christmas collection. I think this is from an Echo Park travel. It's definitely a travel collection. I like the two of those together. This kind of has a distressed look, and so I had this paper, which is also from a Christmas collection. Not sure that, I don't think it was Echo Park. And it kind of has a distressed look to it as well. The greens don't match perfectly, but I think if I space this off, you know, apart enough, that it's not gonna matter a ton. Or the other option is I can just trim this green off, and then it wouldn't even be in there. I pulled in from my backgrounds this Fancy Pants Designs 2010 Road Show French press paper. This one actually came up a couple times. I tried to use it, but until I came up with this particular color combination, it just was never quite right. So I mentioned when I was talking about the scraps that I probably would just layer them all together, and I wasn't sure about the green. But you guys, because of all the different colors and stuff, I think it looks just fine. It's not a perfect match, but that's okay. And as you can see, I can rotate this anyway and easily use this layout. So another Paige Evans kind of conglomeration of papers. Most of this is from Wonder, so I've got the tags. I've got a little bit of, oh no, this is from Bloom Street. I got a little bit of yellow and the stripe. This is from Wonders, the stripe. And the purple Wonders, the butterfly and the green. And I also threw in Bloom Street, this little strip with the purple. So this one may need a little help from my stash as well. Okay, and now for the last bundle, I pulled in a couple 6x8-ish scraps from the extras. So this was a pink foiled. This is a diagonal foil. This is roughly, I think, will hold a 5x7 photo easily, or, you know, a 4x6 and then trim down. And it can go either direction. I was struggling with this particular paper. This is the one with the yellow flowers on the background, or the yellow background with the white flowers, which I thought actually was what I was going to use, but I just couldn't get it to work. And so I really like this stripe layout instead. I think this is pretty generic and could go in any direction. I really wanted to play off the tags, and so I thought it would be fun to have them as a stripe at the bottom. I did not punch holes in the tags. I probably will go in and just add an enamel dot instead of adding twine, because again, I'm probably going to end up more than likely adding a photo over top. Although, to be fair, I could see me adding maybe a couple large photos up at the top and then just a title. That would work too. And then this one was just, I guess it's going to have to go this way because the purple with the hearts goes that way. But this one again was just taking the leftover scraps and just layering them up. And I think this is another pretty generic layout that would be easy to use. And then this one is a bit of a Frankenstein. So none of these papers were in the original kit, but I had 3 tags left over. And when I was looking at the colors of the 3 tags, I saw this paper from Pink Fresh, and I was like, I wonder if I can use that. The blue is very similar, the oranges are very similar, there's greens, etc. The problem was that it had this hole cut out on the back side, and I kind of had in my mind that I was going to use these as embellishments, but that was okay. I thought better to use it than not. And so what I did was I found another scrap, and I actually covered most of it up, so I probably could have trimmed it down. I don't know if you'll see it. It's kind of got like that zigzag approach, or zigzag kind of light purple, orange and peach color. And I've used it before, so I don't feel bad about covering it up. But what I really loved was the branding strip on it. And I needed something that was big enough to cover this hole. This particular piece was not big enough, and so I thought, well, let's put that one down there to give it some stability. And then these were two other scraps that I had waiting to go. I love that this pink one has the yellow and orange in it. This pulls in more of the blue, and then this is kind of this light peach color or light pink color. I did add a place for a 5x7 photo. I'm anticipating that this will probably more than likely be the title. There's plenty of room for journaling, and then I may add just a couple embellishments tucked in up at the top. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And that, my friends, is part 2 of my scraps to base page series for this year so far. Now, I do have a ton of scraps left over, mostly smaller, and so got a lot of little tiny bits and pieces, and a lot of the ones that I mentioned where they were smaller pieces left over, which are going to make cards. So I think that's going to be part 3, is turning some of these into card bases or card panels possibly. Just to get the scrap bins down. And then at the same time, I'm also going to do an assessment of what's left over, whether or not I want to keep them or purge them. I hope this inspires you and encourages you to dig out your scraps and play with them. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and until next time, happy crafting.